Hey everyone, this week I've been driving this 2021 Genesis G80. The G80 is all new for 2021. It is a midsize luxury sedan. You can think of it as a value-oriented alternative to European luxury sedans like the BMW 5 Series, the Audi A6, and the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. This is more or less the third generation for the G80 now, although the caveat there is that for the first 1.5 generations of this vehicle, it was sold as the Hyundai Genesis. This is the vehicle that Hyundai used primarily to launch the Genesis brand. It came out in its original form back in the 2000s as the Hyundai Genesis. Halfway through this vehicle's second generation, Hyundai spun the Genesis brand off into its own thing, which was almost certainly their plan the entire time. And now the Genesis lineup consists of 5 different vehicles covering probably the 5 hottest segments within the luxury space. This thing is pretty cool. It's definitely high on value. The design is sharp. It's available with 2 different engines for now, although there is an electric version coming out in the near future. And overall, I quite like it. So let's do a tour of the G80 here inside and out, and then take it for a drive. So pretty distinctive styling here. You've got this big shield-shaped grille up front, but my favorite line on this vehicle is right here. You've got something similar on the GV80 SUV, but this plane right here above the headlight, which is also pretty interesting. I think this is just really distinct and bold, and it's what helps this thing to stand out. Another thing that helps this vehicle to stand out are these wheels. This is one of the more intricate wheel designs on the market. It doesn't come on every trim of the G80, but this 2.5 liter 4-cylinder model I'm driving here has these really interesting high-end elegant wheels. They are 19 inches. And yeah, yet another head-turning design element on the G80. The taillights mimic the design of the headlights. Same goes for this little styling element on the fender here. Around back, badging consists of the Genesis word mark across the trunk lid, and then G80 and 4-wheel drive right there. The trunk opens via a button hidden in that trim piece there, and it is power operated, so I wasn't able to stop it to show you. But in here, you've got about 13 cubic feet of space, so on par with other options in the midsize luxury segment. And then we've got some nets, and yeah. Closes pretty smoothly and quickly. Lots of good chimes from the Genesis brand. I'm gonna turn on the ventilated seat because it's kind of hot outside. All right, looking at the window sticker, and this is a 2021 Genesis G80 2.5 turbo all-wheel drive with the advanced package. So this is a 2.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It makes 300 horsepower. You can also get a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6 that makes 375 horsepower. As equipped, this one comes in at just $5 shy of $57,000. Fuel economy is rated at 22 city, 30 highway, and 25 combined. And I should add that the advanced package, as far as the 4-cylinder model goes, the advanced package sits right in between 2 others. There's base, advanced, and then prestige. If you step up to the V6, you've got base and prestige as your 2 options. So the advanced package is kind of a middle ground, and it's only offered with the 4-cylinder. As far as this interior goes, it's pretty sharp. One design element that stands out to me is this hazards button here. We're gonna start off with something really specific. Usually these are a square button with a little triangle hazard symbol stamped into it. But in this case, it's actually a triangle. Not only that, it's rimmed in aluminum trim and then inset within this wood trim. So this is a really interesting button. It caught my attention immediately. Feels pretty good too. Center console design is pretty functional. This is your shifter, so it's like a kind of a heavy hockey puck crystal design. So right now we're in park, you push that for park, and then to go into drive, you just twist it, reverse, twist it to the left, make sure we're back in park. And then this dial up here, that controls your infotainment system. So we'll go home, and this infotainment system is set up a lot like a mobile phone. So you've got this home screen here, you push the button, and that takes you to your menu. And then it's also a touch screen, which is excellent. I think it's pretty simple to use this to control the screen, but if you don't like using this, or if you want to type in maybe a navigation address as quickly as possible, you can just touch around here. And yeah, I think that's how every infotainment system should be. One other thing worth pointing out, this is a semi-digital gauge cluster. So this gauge here is actually mechanical, and then the screen portion is this gauge into this middle information readout here. You can also get this vehicle with a fully digital gauge cluster, but this 4-cylinder advanced model doesn't have it. All the switchgear feels really good. You've got real wood finish here, and then the steering wheel design is pretty unique as well. Genesis really likes these kind of 2-spoke steering wheels. This is actually a different design than what's offered in some other Genesis models, but you've got kind of a main spoke there, and then a cutout there, and then kind of a, I don't know, supplementary spoke down there. You've also got paddle shifters for controlling the 8-speed automatic transmission, and I think that about covers it. Overall, super posh, comfortable, quiet cabin here in the new G80. Let's check out the second row. So plenty of space back here. I'm about 5'10", 5'11", and that's where I have the seat when I'm driving, and you can see plenty of knee room. There is a pretty tall hump for that rear drive shaft, but footwell's big enough. We've got a couple speakers back here. I thought these window controls were unique. They're about twice as wide as the window controls you'll find in other vehicles. There are also sunshades for these windows. There we go. Make things a little less bright back here. And then on the center console, you've got heated seat controls and a power rear sunshade. There's also a pass-through from the trunk, so if you need to haul a long item like a lamp or some wood or some skis, you can do that in your G80 sedan. This also flips up to make obviously space for a third person to ride along back here, and then there's some HVAC controls on the back of the center console as well. I really like this thing. It speaks to a lot of sensibility. It's priced lower than a comparable BMW 5 Series or Mercedes-Benz E-Class. We're not talking tens of thousands of dollars here. I have to think that Genesis' long-term goal is to build their brand up to the point where they can charge as much as BMW and Mercedes. They're just not quite there yet. So for you as a customer, that means there's an opportunity to claim a lot of value by opting for a Genesis product over a European luxury car. There's 50 miles per hour, so if you want performance, the 3.5-liter V6 is probably the engine to go with. That said, we've still got 300 horsepower here. The start-stop's a little bit intrusive. I've noticed that when I've gone to pull out quickly, like from my street back there, there's a brief hesitation that gets a little bit frustrating, but once you're out on the road and going, this thing is ridiculously smooth. The cabin is really quiet. The suspension is soft and really absorbs the bumps. I have to think a really long road trip would be awesome in this car. Like I mentioned before, the infotainment layout is really nice. You've got options. You can use the touchscreen. It's a little bit of a reach, but you've got this dial here, which again is pretty intuitive to use, especially when you think of it in the same way that you do a mobile phone. You've got a home screen and then dials for navigating different pages. Yeah, it's a great execution. It's high resolution, it's big. It's what an infotainment system should be here in 2021. Yeah, really smooth acceleration. This road's a little bit bumpy, but we're really not feeling them much. Here's our speed bump here. We are going about 25 miles per hour. Yeah, rolled over it pretty nicely. Maybe not as smooth as some other vehicles, but still on the smooth side. That one was at about 24 miles per hour. Then here's our big one here. We're gonna go about 26. Felt pretty good. All the touch points feel really nice. I can't really identify much switchgear that is shared with the Hyundai and Kia brands. That's good to see. Some other automakers, you can identify some parts sharing that may be unbecoming of a luxury brand like this. Backup camera is pretty sharp. Unfortunately though, this one is not fitted with a 360-degree camera. I imagine you have to opt for the Prestige trim level if you want that. But backup camera is good enough in a situation like this. And it's relatively high resolution, so that is good. All right, so there is your tour of the 2021 Genesis G80 overall. I think this thing's pretty interesting. The design is bold, but at the same time kind of understated because the brand itself isn't as familiar to most people as a BMW or a Mercedes, which allows you to kind of fly under the radar if you're driving this, if that's your thing. But as far as execution goes, everything here feels really good. In this spec, the G80 is more about comfort than performance, and it makes a pretty strong case of that between the smooth ride, the nice interior layout, the quiet cabin. Overall, I think this thing is pretty compelling. It's about $57,000, which again, is still a value compared to a BMW, Mercedes, or Audi, but not quite the crazy value that this car might have been 5-10 years ago. But still, if you're looking for a luxury experience, if you're interested in things that are new and a little bit different from the norm, and if you're someone who likes to fly under the radar, then I think the G80 here in the Genesis brand as a whole should be pretty appealing to you. Thank you for watching.